Hey, what's up? I'm back. It's your girl Icy Mona, and I'm here with another review of Chrisean and Blueface, Crazy in Love, Season 2, Episode 6. Now, before we jump into things, you already know what to do. Go ahead and scan that QR code to get connected to me, or click the link in my description to get directly to me. All right, y'all, so let's get into it. All right, so we basically leave off where we were at last week, them arguing and getting into it very, very bad. Her basically with the whole I'm destined for it, him being like, you're not giving me my credit, you're giving God the credit. So basically, at this point in the argument, it has died down a little bit, but he was basically telling her, like, or asking her, he was like, well, where was you at before when you met me? Like, you was nowhere. And she was like, no, like, that's not true. Like, I was in college. And then he was trying to say, like, no, you dropped out. So I don't know what's up with all that. But basically, she was like, no, I was in college. And he was like, but what were you doing? Weren't you selling weed? And she was like, yeah, I was selling weed, but I was a part of like the X League football, which is like the women, I think, lingerie football team, which I had no idea that she was a part of. But, anyways, then Blueface starts going into detail and talking about how he's made so many sacrifices being with Chrisean, how he's lost his restaurant, he's lost his family, and all this other stuff. And she's basically telling him, like, that's on you. Basically, they end the arguing. They go back to, I guess, actually loving each other again. My thing is this. So, pause. Is Chrisean really smoking while she's pregnant? At first, I didn't want to think she was because I'm like, nah, there's no way. But the way, like, the camera was like cutting the scenes, and you could see when Blueface was smoking, he had the blunt in his hand. But then when they cut it to Chrisean, they would never show the blunt in her hand, but you could see the smoke on her face. I mean, around her face. So I'm just like, that's actually kind of wild if she is smoking while pregnant, and very wild if she's doing it publicly on like TV. Like, granted, I'm not gonna lie, I do know there are some people out there who are like, oh, it's not bad if you smoke weed while pregnant or if you have a glass of wine or champagne, whatever, whatever. But I would not be putting that publicly out there for the world to see so they could just judge any harder. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of crazy. But anyways, so now Blueface is over there trying to kiss her and trying to be loving, talking about some you my dog, blah blah blah. And she's like, no, I'm not your dog. I'm your rock. You my dog. So I guess they're done arguing. They're back to being cool again. That's actually insane because, like I said, he would have still had me fucked up. So then Blueface is like, all right, now go give me some head. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're back to normal. So in the next scene, it slates up and it says that Blueface was invited to spar against Mayweather in Vegas, which I'm not gonna lie, that's actually pretty dope. We all know Mayweather is like number one out here, undefeated. In the next few scenes, we basically just see them getting ready to go on the flight. Blueface is cleaning his jewelry. And no lie, I mean, I guess this must be rich people problems. Obviously, I can't relate, but I'm like, damn, like, I wonder if his neck ever gets like tired or like, because he has like 5, 6 chain on him. Like, the shit seems very, very heavy. But anyways, so we see them getting ready for the fight. We see them in the private jet. He's drinking to get prepared because Krishan's like, oh, you really must not be taking this serious if you drinking. My thing is this: does it have to be Hennessy every single time? Like, do y'all not like tequila? Like, for one, tequila or clear liquor in general has like lower calories, but I'm like, damn, like, y'all really want to be on demon time 24/7. Like, Hennessy as the alcohol choice every time, like, no, like, I literally would be dog walking girls if I was drinking Hennessy that much on some real shit. So, anyways, they pull up, they're on the jet. Finally, they get to the telly and they're just sitting there chilling. And then Blueface was talking about he's going to go in the casino, gamble. And one of the Zeus producers or whatever asked him, like, oh, you're going to take Chrisean. Isn't she your lucky charm? And then he's like, nah, she's not my lucky charm anymore. And just kind of joking around, but at the same time being serious. And then Chrisean's like, what? Like, I was always your lucky charm. Whoop de whoop de whoop. Okay, so in the next scene, we basically get Blueface and Chrisean. They are finally arriving to the spot where Blueface is going to take off with Mayweather. No lie, y'all. Like, this episode was very boring, giving very much filler tease. They get to the spot and they have Steve. He's the boxing trainer. He's over there asking Blueface, is he ready? Is he got experience? You ready to get loose? Blueface is like, well, I mean, I know how to squabble. So Blueface is up there practicing with him. Then we have Coach Crystal. She's over there helping him practice as well. I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching it, Because I see Blueface as like a skinny dude, but you could tell that he is actually very cut. Like that's when you can tell. You could tell always in the arms whether someone's for real skinny or if they're actually built. And he was actually built, so I was like, okay, maybe he'll have a little bit of a chance. But anyway, so while he's practicing, Chrisean is on the side talking to her friend Janet, and she was talking mess, I believe, about trainer Steve, because she was over there saying like, oh, he's somebody uncle, I gotta see his credentials. She starts talking to Janet about the whole argument that her and Blueface had, just rehashing all that. And then she started getting into details, talking about some like, yeah, and then like me and him like messed around the next morning, and I was just waking up crying like, oh my gosh, daddy. I'm like, ugh. And even the dude who was like further down by them, he kind of was like, bruh, like, can y'all stop talking about this? Like, like nobody trying to hear about you and Blueface knocking boots. Gross. So then her and the friend start talking about the baby or whatever. The friend was saying how like, oh, she thinks it's gonna be like a boy, blah blah blah. And here goes Chrisean, I mean, if it's a bitch, if it's a girl, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, not you calling your baby a bitch. Like, that is insane. I was actually hollering when she said that, but I'm glad she caught herself and corrected herself and was like, I mean, baby girl. But anyways, they were talking about the whole like her working while after being pregnant. I guess Blueface was trying to make it seem like, oh, she don't got no job. And Chrisean was saying, regardless, she step outside, she can get, 20 bands just off of her name. And she was talking about like traveling with the baby and like going on tour and like all that type of stuff. And then Janet was talking about how like after her aunties had their kids, how they went back to work immediately after, blah blah blah. Chrisean starts talking about, I believe she's talking about baddies and how because I heard her say this, she was like, oh, like now that I'm pregnant, like they can't fight me, like it's in her contract. And it's actually crazy because if any of you guys do watch Baddies East, which I don't, but I am up to date with some of like the current drama going on. What's her name? That Vicky Woe girl is currently trying to sue Chrisean and what's her name from Black Ink Crew, Sky, because I guess she's trying to say Chrisean set her up for Sky to beat her up. I don't know. I'll talk about that in my The Scoop series, because there's some more updates to that. But yeah, so she's talking about Baddie West or Baddies East and how she's not going to be fighting or none of that because she's pregnant. So then the next scene, Whack 100, which is Blueface's manager, he shows up to go see the fight as well. And he's over there hyping Blueface us, talking about that nigga done got a little old. And I'm in my head, I'm like, boy, do not be pumping Blueface up to get his ass beat. Like, I get you gonna be up by his side, but let's be real. Like, let's be all the way for real. And then this was his first time, I guess, seeing Chrisean being like pregnant. He was kind of just, in shock and like, oh my gosh, like she's really pregnant. And then he makes a joke saying like, hey, don't be getting no tattoos on the stomach now while you pregnant. Like, cause we know how Chrisean be doing. Like there's one thing she gonna do, she gonna get it tatted. So he jokes around with her about that. Chrisean's brother, Petey, he's also there as well, to watch the fight go on. And then finally, Floyd walks in. I'm not gonna lie, when he walked in, I started getting nervous for Blueface. Like, it just felt like very tense once he walked in. Like, like shit is really about to go down. And then finally, we cut to the scene where we get the match of them sparring. And no lie, it had me weak because they were in there, and then someone had started clapping, and Floyd was like, cut all that shit off. Like, don't start that clapping shit. Like, we just getting started. But the fight was cool. Obviously, Floyd was getting on him, which we already knew was going to happen. But Blueface definitely did hang in there. I was weak at one point because he knocked Blueface in his head. And the way his head cocked back had me screaming. And then you hear Chrisean being like, oh, it's that Hennessy. Like, yeah, it's the Hennessy. Why would you drink Hennessy before a match? Like, the least you could have been doing is chasing that bitch with some Gatorade. Like, come on, bruh. So Floyd's in there basically low-key beating Blueface ass, and you could tell that he like, because he even said it himself, like, I'm not even being serious. You could tell for Mayweather, this was like light work. Like, he was like, all right, I'm just gonna handle my lightweight real quick, like boom boom boom. But yeah, that was pretty much in the episode. They were just basically sparring, everyone was watching. It did have me weak that because Blueface was like losing, the look on everybody's face just cheesing and smiling, I'm like, y'all are hella messy, because people was really like hella smiling seeing Blueface get his shit knocked. But yeah, so that was the end of this episode. If you like this review, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, scan that QR code, and I will see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.